Hello everyone. Welcome to another live stream. Let me know if the music is okay. I can't really check that here. This is the card we're going to make today. It's the card I made for the Get Cracking Christmas, which is organized by Jen. I try to participate every month, and so far I'm able to do that, and I'm really happy because that gives me a Christmas card every month already. So that's less stress when Christmas card season comes. And because it's Christmas in July, I thought it would be great to do a live stream with the card I made. Also, there is a giveaway going on my Instagram. My husband will give the link in the chat so you can check that out. Excuse me. It's a giveaway. Excuse me. It's a giveaway with the Lawn Fawn set that I used for this card, which is the flip-flop set from the Mermaid For You. And you can check out on my Instagram post how you can participate in that. So let's start out with the coloring, like I always do. Hi Marcy, welcome in. So I already stamped all my images. This is from Mermaid For You. One of the rocks, I think it's this one, is from Mermaid For You also. And the rest is from Christmas fishes and the flip-flop version of the Mermaid For You set, of course. I all stamped them with Lawn Fawn jet black ink, and I use my Misty for that, so I have a crisp impression. And I already die cut them and put them back in my paper so I can easily color them and pop them out. I always die cut after coloring, but because of my life it's easier to do it this way. And the music note speech bubble is stamped with Distress Oxide Evergreen Bow. And I also use my Misty for that to get a nice crisp impression. So let's start with the coloring. I have to check a bit which of the colors I'm using. Let's start with the tree. I always check my hex chart for that. I showed it before, but I will show it again. This is the hex chart I'm using, and it's very convenient to see which colors you want to use and which colors blend together, and it can give you a new idea of blending colors together, and it's really easy to use. So I'm going for the tree for these colors, and I'm picking some colors on beforehand so I can continue coloring when I'm working on it. It could be that I use a little bit different colors than I used on my example cards, because I don't remember all the colors I used. But I will be very close to what I used before. So let's start with coloring the tree. I always like to start with my darkest color, but if you prefer it the other way around, that's fine too. Funny thing is that I always had Copic Classic markers which have a different nib on it, and those actually still have my preference. But since I bought some markers on a second-hand site, which was a really good deal, I had some Chow and Sketch in that as well. And I didn't, because I do now. I didn't really like the brush nib, but it surely has grown on me, because you can flick your nib on the paper and you will get a different kind of transition than just using a normal classic nib. But I still prefer my classics. They also come with more ink than Chow and Sketch, so they will run out not as fast as the other ones. Only downside is not every color is available in the classic. And what I also recently started doing is I printed out an extra hex sheet. Let me take it. So I printed out an empty one and I started coloring all the colors that I use often. So the colors that I just picked are over here. And why I'm doing this is because this will give me some insight of which colors I actually use the most. So when it's time to get some new refills, I sure know by checking out this hex chart which colors I need to buy. And if I go over my full hex chart, of course I want all my colors with a full ink inside, but that's not really doable because these are very expensive. So when I get to the point that I have to choose of all the empty ones I might have, they are all good now, but they sure run out someday, then I can easily check which colors I'm using the most and put that on top of my list to buy. So that's a little side step I wanted to show. So I'm going back with my darkest color. And I will be flicking in some of the darker color. Like that. I will put those back right away. Marcy says, love to watch you color. I love that idea, charting the colors you use most. Thank you, Marcy. I have some refills on hand, but I figured out it would be fun and easy to make a chart so I can check which colors I use most, and I can buy the refills accordingly to that. Also, it's fun to see which colors you use the most, so when somebody asks which colors should I buy, I'm new to Copic markers, I have a list I could share. It's now still work in progress, but eventually it will be a good list. These can be put away also. Item. Hi Peter, adorable card. Thank you. Great to see you here. So I used this Christmas fishes set because I have it in my stash for a really long time, but I haven't really used it that often. I'm not sure why, because I love underwater themed cards, but I just didn't use it that often. So when I needed another card for the Get Cracking on Christmas, I figured it would be with the Christmas fishes. And I love how it turned out. So I always tend to go back when I colored in and blended my images, parts of my image, and go back with a darker color to add some nice shade. So I use my darkest color first, then I go in with my lighter one. And maybe this is really hard to see on camera because it's such a light color. But then I like to go back with the darker one. I always do some highlights and I use my black fineliner as well, and I mostly do that after I colored everything, but now I will do it in between. So I tend to trace the inner lines with a black fineliner, because like this line it's become a bit dull because of the coloring, and when I trace it, it's really nice and black again. And I'm not doing all the shells because that would be a real hard thing to do, all those lines. So I only do the lines where I feel it's needed. But you sure don't have to do that if you don't feel like it. It's just a thing I started doing and now I can't really skip those. Lawn Fawn, just as you love Lawn Fawn just as much as I love Lawn Fawn just as much as you do, Peter. I try watching the lives, happy I got to catch one. Hi Christine, welcome in, glad to have you here. Yeah, it's really hard to find a great time for everyone for the live. Like with time zones, I'm from the Netherlands, so it's really hard to please everyone. But I'm happy when somebody can finally be here with me if they want to. That's really fun. So, next image. Let's do the Christmas hats. I'm not using the jellyfish and the fish. I'm going to cut those off and use my white gel pen to make the lines disappear so I can use them on the mermaids. So, I don't know if you guys already tried making a Christmas card outside of Christmas card season, which I really recommend, because what I found out is that it's really relaxing to make Christmas cards outside of the season. Because when I was making Christmas cards in the season, it really stressed me out, and I just made like 10 or 20 cards from the same simple design, and now I can do some different things, use my sets, and in general just have more fun with them. It becomes really tedious when you have to make cards. I really have to clean this marker soon because it's a little bit dirty. So I will clean this. So I don't smudge it on my card, and I will put this aside so I can clean it off later. That's a great idea for the Santa hats. Thanks, Tim. My friend Maureen, she makes cards for the Lawn Fawn design team as well. I think she did it too with the Santa hats one day, but I sure saw her do it with other images as well. So that gave me the idea of doing this for this card. It's a nice change to switch the holiday cards in the summer. I enjoy it. Yeah, that's what I experienced too. It's really fun to just make a card in your own pace with the set you feel like using, and indeed switching it up with other themed cards. Like, I love to craft Halloween cards and fall cards. It really is my guilty pleasure, I guess, and I've been making Halloween cards the past few days. So for the highlights, I like to do them in the roundness of things. Let me see, for the rocks, I'm going with these. I started using these browns more often recently. They are really nice, different kind of brown. I would say they are a little bit grayish. And it's a really nice brown. So let's go back in with my darkest color. And I'm blending those out a little more with my lighter one. And let's do the shell right away, because I'm using the same brown. I only pair it with another lighter one. Let's go back in with the darker one. And let's do the black lines of the rocks. And of the shell. And some highlights. I will do the shell later. Let's continue with the mermaids. I have to check which color I used. I think it's the one, these two. So I start with the hair of the left mermaid. I'm not great at doing those strokes on the hair and do them in the right direction and color those beautiful hair you see sometimes. But I do my best, and that's with the darkest color, doing some strokes in the direction of the hair. And then I'm coloring in the rest with my lighter color. And then I'm going back with doing those strokes. And I think I'll leave it with that, because if I fiddle too much with it, it will all blend into one blob already. Now let's do the hair of the other mermaid. Now we are working on hair anyway. What I've noticed with these flip-flop images, if you are used to coloring the other one, it feels like you have some kind of muscle memory on how to color them, and it's really difficult to do the flip-flop one. I decorate cookies as well, and if you cut out some dough with a cookie cutter and you flip the cutout over, you have a flipped image, a mirrored image. And I noticed it with that as well. So if you are used to decorating a cookie facing one direction and you are flipping it over and doing the other side, it's really hard to decorate it. I think it's some kind of muscle memory you have. And I have that with the coloring of these images as well. I think that's fine. Let me check on chat. It's so nice to get Christmas inspiration and start creating cards months before the stress of Christmas. Yeah, that's really something I noticed as well. It's just fun to do it in your own pace. Hey Peter, so cute. Hi Anne, welcome in. So now let's do some skin colors. Let me check on a darker skin color. Let's go back with the darker one. Totally agree, when something is mirrored it can take some time to reset your brain to the other direction. Yeah, it's really difficult, like if your brain is just wired to do it in the one direction and not the other one. Now let's go back a little with the darker color, but only very lightly at the hair line and under the head, so it gives a little bit of shade. And I will do some blushy cheeks as well. Let's see for... Oh, that's the wrong one. These two colors are my favorite for ochre yellow color, so a little bit of a mustardy golden yellow. Let's see what I used for the tail. I think this one. And this one. And I also used a little bit of a darker one on the other side. I think that's this one. Like that, and then we're doing the other tail. So they have a different shape, but it's the same color range. And for the top, I used a somewhat lighter color. Let me check. This one maybe. I think I will go for these. And I used this on the ribbon of this present as well. And the other ribbon has these colors. So let me put these back real quick, because if I don't keep it tidy, I have a small desk space, it will become a huge mess and I won't be able to find anything and complete the card properly. So that's done. Now we need to do some black fineliner work? Or at least I want to. It also depends on which paper you are using. The paper I'm using is a laser printer paper. And it's got a really smooth top. I don't know if it has some kind of coating or something, but it is really smooth, and the ink doesn't really get into the paper like with Dina cardstock. So the lines become a bit dull, and I like to freshen them up with a black fineliner. But I'm only doing the inside lines. So that's that. Now we're doing some white highlights. Some highlights over here. That's all done. Marcy says, I clean up as I go for the most part. Yeah, I normally do that as well, but it can become a little bit messier. But when I'm doing a live stream, it's easier to just clean it up right away. So I'm now carefully popping these out. Like I said earlier, I already die cut those and put them back in with some purple tape, because this will take less time on the live stream and it's easier to color them back in the paper. So now I'm taking my small scissors. If I can find those. Here they are. And I'm carefully going to cut off the fish and the jellyfish. But following the same kind of margin for the white border. So that's that. Now I'm taking my Signo broad pen. This one has a little bit of a different ink than the pen I used before. That was the regular Signo. It's easier to go over these black lines with this. And they are not as perfect as a regular image. But you won't notice it on the card. So these need to dry a little bit. So for the rest of my cards, I already prepared some things. Like a card base. I always make a top fold card base even if I use it like this, because that's easier with my size of paper, because it's a Dutch size or a European size, I must say. This is cut with the largest of the large stitched rectangle stackables from Lawn Fawn. So that is this one. That fits on a normal card. And then I used the second largest from the stitch dents. And I used it upside down and in a little bit of an angle to cut out this paper. So I have the negative over here. Because we are going to ink blend on this one and pop it back in to make the scene, as you can see. So that's a different way to use these stitch dents, which is really fun to use it in a different way. So let me take a small dish to put all these images in, so I can put them aside for now. Then I take my glass work surface. I normally have my Tim Holtz media mat, but for video it's really reflective with the light above my desk, so I always use this craft mat, but I like to do it with ink blending on glass. And these are the colors I used. So it's Chipped Sapphire and Mermaid Lagoon, and I'm doing this with a blending brush. I normally would go for just a regular ink blending tool, but this is easier with having some control. So I start out with Mermaid Lagoon in the middle, And I'm going in a circular motion, building up that color. And going to the edge. And then I go and blend around with the chipped sapphire. And it might get a little messy on my fingers as well. If I would be making a background, a full background, I will use a piece of paper to lay it between my paper and my fingers, because you can leave fingerprints on your ink blending, but I will be heavily distressing this with water, so you won't notice any fingerprints as well. So I keep blending the edges till they are nice and dark. That's why I would use an ink blending tool for the solid background if you would make one, because they transfer more ink than the brushes do. So I went back in with Mermaid Lagoon in the middle. Now I'm doing the edge with chipped sapphire again. And it doesn't have to be perfect because like I said, I will be distressing it. I think this is okay. Do you have the new distress color, the Uncharted Mariner one? Yeah, I do have it and I really like it. Let me pick it out of my storage. So this is the new color, and as you can see, it's less dark as chipped sapphire, but it's darker than Mermaid Lagoon. Let me also pick Faded Jeans for the comparison. So as you can see, it is a whole different color. It's like a dark Mermaid Lagoon. I really like it. It's a really nice color. Love that new color, need to get it. Yeah, it's really a nice color, Marcy. I saw a comparison online and I was sold right away. And when I used it, I was even sold more. So I'm taking a piece of paper towel and my distress sprayer, and I'm going to spray some larger drops and also some smaller spray, and dab off the excess water, and use it to clean my glass right away. my fingers for a bit. So it needs to dry a little bit, but as you can see, it's a really nice effect with the distress oxides. I will be right back. I need to clean off my fingers before I smudge anything on the white of my card. So I will be right back. And I'm back. So I cleaned off my fingers, my inky fingers, before I will be touching any of the white paper. Marcy says, just when you think you don't need another shade of blue, they come out with a one you need. Yeah, I always check the comparison on Jen's site. She always makes some good comparisons with new colors, and I can judge on the base of those swatches if I want the color. And Uncharted Mariner was really a nice new color for me, so I need to get it. So, as you can see, this is the background like I did on my example card. And what it's easiest to do is to use some tape to adhere it back into that frame. So that is the background. Now I can stamp on the sentiment. This is from, I think it's from Toboggan Together. It's the Merry Christmas one. I'm doing this with my Misty as well. So I lay it in my Misty, and now I can align the stamp. I'm always eyeballing it, but the lighting I use for my live can be a little bit tricky for the eye, so I'm just checking This should be right. Now I pick it up with my door and make sure this is still in the right position. And I'm just using my regular black ink I also use for coloring. And I just stamp it a few times till I'm happy with the result. One more time, I guess. Now I'm cleaning the stamp off, quickly moistening my chamois. So, that's the sentiment. Putting away my ink. And now we can assemble the card. So, here's my craft paper card base. Using my ATG gun. I'm always checking if I have the right side, and I like to stick it down from the fold, because if you go off a little bit and it's the card base is sticking out, you can cut that off, and if you would do it from the other side you can't, because you will cut open the fold. So it's sticking out just a little bit. And that's fixed easily. So now I will take my images, and I always lay things on my card before I glue it, but because I already have an example now, I'm going to glue the images together that needs to go together for easy placement. So this mermaid will get this hat. And a little present. And the other mermaids will get the other hat. So I'm finishing up this card. I'm taking you through the steps of assembling. But if you have some questions, please ask them, because after assembling you can still ask some questions, but I will finishing off the life, of course. So don't be shy. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. So I glue these rocks to my Christmas tree as well. So now I have these easy images to glue on my cards. And I'm starting with the Christmas tree because that will be in the middle. And the other images will be glued down with some tin foam tape to give it a little dimension. So I take off the backing. Marcy says that's a great idea to assemble some together first before adhering to the card front. Thanks, Marcy, that's something I really like to do. I just lay all the images down and then I check which images I can glue together. Even if some images just overlap, I just glue them together to make it easier to glue them on the card. And especially when you want to add some foam tape like I do now, it's so much easier to already have partially assembled the images. So again, I already told it at the beginning of the stream, but maybe you've missed it. I'm having a giveaway too for this Christmas in July, and you can find that giveaway on my Instagram page. So there's in the description of that post what you have to do to make to participate in that giveaway, and you can win the flip-flop set of the Mermaid For You from Lawn Fawn. You can find the link to the giveaway in the chat. My husband is really helpful with my stream and he found the link for you guys. And now the only thing I have to do is add this speech bubble. So that's the finished card. Let me clean this up for a bit. Taking the release paper off foam can test my patience sometimes. Yeah, it really is. Oh, sorry guys. It really is a hassle sometimes. So this is my example card and this is the card we made today. I really love how clean and simple it is. It's not really a clean and simple card, but it's really simple in design. It has some few fun elements to do, like making the background and distressing it. So it's really simple, easy to make, really relaxing, doing some coloring, and just not much of a hassle. Marcy said just love it. Thank you, Marcy. It turned out mermazing. Thank you, Sophie. If you have any questions, be sure to ask me. I will be here for a few minutes. And if you have questions afterwards, you can always ask me in the comments or go to my Instagram and ask me there in a DM. I'm always here to help. Like I offered Marcy to help with the highlights. I haven't come around of doing that, but I'm not forgotten about that, Marcy, so I will come back to you about that in the DM you sent me. But I really love to share my crafting tips with you guys and how I do things, so if you ever have a question, just feel free to DM me. Tim says, awesome job, I love it. Thank you, Tim. Thanks for another great live, Peter. Now, well, thank you for being here, Marcy. I really enjoy it when you guys are here to craft together. So let me show the card one more time before I'm closing off the live. If you would like to, you can add some glossy accents on the Christmas tree, for example, or you can use some Nouveau drops or some of the clear drops like these. I love to use these on ocean themed cards. I made a card yesterday. I will be posting that to my Instagram Sunday soon, but here it is. I use those drops on the pool as well to embellish it a little. So you could do that here if you want to, but I think it's fine as it is, but you can embellish it if you like to. Thanks for sharing, Peter. Bye all. Thanks for being here, Christine, and I hope to see you next time. So that's it for me for today. Like I said, if you have any questions, be free to ask me on my Instagram or in the comments or on any of my other socials. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye, y'all.